All y'all folks are coming here. You just start working, or you start next week, or you got an interview that day.
Greg Mathis is not a typical man, not a typical African-American man, certainly not a typical district court judge.
Hi, fine. This is Judge Mathis. I was calling to see, did you know your son was coming down here to court today?
And on Monday, he'll be one part of the Million Man March in Washington.
Okay, yeah, he's here.
Judge Mathis says he needs to go because African-American men are threatened with extinction. He sees it every day in the stream of young black faces that pack his Detroit courtroom.
I also know that the U.S. population is made up 70% of African-American men, the prison population, whereas we only make up 6% of the general population. So certainly there's a need for African-American men to come together to address this problem of genocide and self-destruction.
If things had been just a little different, the 35-year-old jurist says he probably would have ended up on the other side of the bench. Judge Mathis grew up in one of Detroit's toughest neighborhoods, close to the drugs and crime that captured many of his friends.
I want to make sure you have a little more than that, so you'll be ready when Globe shuts down, lay you off, or fire you, okay? So I'm going to make you get your GED as well within 1 year.
As a former gang leader and high school dropout, Judge Mathis knows a lack of education leads to a lack of hope, which he calls one of the main causes of crime.
We see violence, we see drugs, we see men abandoning their families within the black community, and we need to stand up and address this. How you doing, brother? You in support of the Million Man March? Okay. If you can't make it, we'd like for you to observe those things that we're trying not to do. We regard this as a holy day for African-American people.
When he's not dispensing justice in court, the judge is often back in his old neighborhood. This week, he was out promoting the Million Man March. Judge Mathis acknowledges there may be concerns about march organizer Louis Farrakhan, but he says the ideas are what's important, not the people behind the march.
My four little children.
And even if only half the hoped-for numbers show up on Monday, it will surpass Dr. Martin Luther King's historic march on Washington.
I have a dream today.
Terry Phillips, CBS News, Detroit.